Hello there, my very good friends, and a warm welcome and good afternoon to you. On this video, we're going to go inside WWE's Kingdom of Fear.
Undertaker and Batista are trapped in a political war.
Daniel Garcia has let rip on those NXT memes.
And AEW have brought a new rookie into the fold. That's right, Sting has got himself a new deal.
Oh my goodness, I'm Andy.
I'm Michael.
And this is the After News. If you missed this morning's news video, you can check it out. We'll link you at the end of this one. But we're going to start this one off by talking about this Rolling Stone piece that came out over the weekend. It was released on Saturday. And it's from a bunch of different writers who used to work with WWE, including one person who went on the record and went by their name, and a bunch of anonymous people who, in the quote of the article, didn't want to give their identities away for fear of retribution from WWE, their former colleagues, and rabid wrestling fans. Yeah, rabid wrestling fans in particular. That's probably quite a strong one. One person, the guy who did go on the record here, a former writer, is Michael Leonardi. He was fired, apparently, according to him, due to making a change to a 2016 script for WWE. There was a skit. It was Martin Luther King Jr. Day. It was an episode of Raw. And apparently Neville, who is now Pac, of course, was going to reference the famous I Have a Dream speech. He didn't want to say this line, and it was given to R-Truth instead, allegedly. And apparently, when Leonardi's boss, Dave Kapoor, approved that change, Vince McMahon didn't like it, and he laid into Leonardi, who was eventually fired for not being fit for the role, for changing this part, apparently. A representative of Vince has denied this, and he's denied a bunch of the other accusations from the writers as well. I'll read the quote from Vince's parties. Scores of writers could share tales of what an enjoyable, creative and freewheeling environment that WWE writers' rooms were. This handful of obviously disgruntled individuals aren't representative in any way of consensus or of the truth. There's some other McMahon quirks that are spoken about in this piece, like the long-known thing about him hating people who sneeze. There's some stuff about him asking for people to stand up when he entered the room and then sit only when he sat down. There's talk of a former dress code, including shoes that always needed to be shined, and changing scripts repeatedly at the last minute. There's a quote here. The writer adds that there was something about McMahon's changing directives that felt almost sadistic. Quotation, I think Vince enjoyed the manipulation. He liked changing things. He liked keeping people on their toes. I genuinely felt like this isn't to benefit the show or the storyline. Vince just enjoys making people squirm. McMahon denied that specific request about asking people to stand up. That was denied. Okay. Standing up when I entered the room, Vince denied it. Can you trust that man? Probably not. One of the writers called WWE a kingdom ruled by fear. It is the only motivating factor else anywhere. Fear. There is a lot more stuff on this. Some of the behavior described by Mr. McMahon here in particular. Vince McMahon, sorry, I'm not using his stupid gimmick name. I'll just read the next couple of paragraphs to you to kind of do them justice for what I've written down. The accusations extended to other writers who were in power positions, creating an environment where writers were either for McMahon's ways or against them, effectively turning them against each other. The accusations included unwelcome comments and physical contact within the creative staff. There's a quote here from an anonymous female writer, former writer, presumably. They would touch me where they would have come closer to them. Sorry, I've completely butchered that. They would touch me where they would have me come closer to them. They would pull me by my waist to come somewhere or move closer to them. I'm just super aware because it's kind of close to my butt and most people don't touch me by the waist, ever. I thought, this is strange. After the Zoom meeting, the writers who spoke with Rolling Stone apparently say that there was an in-person meeting with the entire writers' staff room, including senior leadership, where senior leadership told everybody that they were acting like middle schoolers, and they were told not to go to HR if they have any future problems. Yeah, there's more on this in the article, but I mean, it sounds quite representative of certainly a culture we heard of backstage in WWE relatively frequently, over the years, and certainly at a time when Janelle Grant's lawsuit against not just Vince, well, John Laurinaitis and WWE is ongoing. We've heard talk of this kind of thing before, but there's several new accounts in there, and there you go, the Rolling Stone covering all this.
Yeah, I guess you are probably going to get more stories like this. For a lot of years, and look, I think we've probably been as guilty of this as anybody, Vince McMahon tales were trivialised because from the outside it was just, here's the ugly eccentricities of awful old billionaire. Let's make light of those just to try and, sort of present him as this the real vision of what he is versus the one he gets to portray himself on screen or indeed through various WWE in-house productions. The reality of that when working in it is probably nowhere near as fun and as nice. We can all laugh about him eating his steak wraps, but then it's a room full of starving writers that can't eat until they have to leave after 12 hours is just abhorrent. It's an awful working situation, and this is reflective of that, isn't it, as well? And I think this is going to sort of run for years to come, because ultimately the mention of senior leadership teams are important there, because Vince McMahon was this autocrat, and it did feel like it was a company that was run very much in his image. But naturally, the people he's going to pick as his lieutenants and his senior leadership team are going to have those same, well, if not those same quirks, they're going to have to kind of protect their own status by doing things a similar way.
Yeah.
So it takes a long time. It's unfortunate, obviously, that we kind of, capitalism controls that everything is top down rather than bottom up. So as much as it is nice to think about, we hear things about like wrestlers themselves, let alone actual members of staff, like having a nicer time of things under the current regime, and WWE looking in many different ways to be run more as a progressive and 2024 leaning organisation than the archaic beliefs of this one man. There are still plenty of people in posts that are there as a result of jobs they got through working for long periods with Vince McMahon. That goes from Triple H to someone like a Michael Cole to a Bruce Pritchard, and then there's many more that we won't even know the names of. So it's hard to imagine that all of that stuff has been just magically eradicated with the absence of one top figure. Look, it's gross corporate culture. You see it, you might even be living it, in your own sort of lines of work and stuff. It's not nice that it goes on. But yeah, fingers crossed with the very, very, very tippy-top guy being the one that was kind of leading working like this. Maybe the people underneath that might have also practiced that maybe aren't quite as harsh on people that we don't hear the names of. The stories we don't know. Hopefully there is less of that. To assume there is none, I think would be naive.
Yeah, I agree. I think that generally the PR spin from the company's standpoint when stuff like this comes out would be, bad man gone.
Yeah.
He's not here anymore. It's magically, we've made it all go away because we got rid of the bad man. And it's like, well, sure, but the company is still largely comprised of people who were under his wing and a lot of people who would have seen his way on a lot of things.
It's like a years and decade thing, this.
Yeah, for sure. It's not like they cleaned house when Janelle Grant's lawsuit and the things included in that came to life. And again, should emphasise, because people seem to think it's just a lawsuit against Vince. No, the company's part of the accused in this whole situation as well. So yeah, things like this, they will often get drowned out. People these days have this thing where they dedicate their life to the three initials, WWE, AW, whatever. This is my personality. I ride or die for a company, which to me is silly thing to do, particularly when that's just straight up harassment described in this story here. Allegations, of course, allegedly. So yeah, I think that always appreciate thoughtful dialogue on things like this, and I think that going, well, Vince is gone, so everything's fine now is a bit, like you say, a bit naive. Bit naive.
I welcome more conversations like this. Now, again, it's that culture of fear. If that is finally being eradicated due to Vince McMahon's absence, that's a big positive, because the bad man might not be gone culturally through the walls of Titan Tower, but if there's people now feeling more confident for the first time to speak up and speak out, expect more of this, and I certainly welcome that. We'll switch gears slightly
oh boy.
to the wacky side of politics. I feel like we're doing one of them and finally segments on an American talk show here. Look, you probably haven't gone this weekend without seeing either Batista or The Undertaker, or indeed both, speak openly and publicly about where they are leaning politically ahead of the next upcoming American elections. Go and vote, we do all that sort of responsible stuff and that. So yeah, what to really talk about on this? It starts with Dave Batista, who went viral due to a video he did on Jimmy Kimmel where he was kind of like mocking Donald Trump's view of masculinity by kicking ass in the gym. So he was like saying, oh, you know, you're this and you're this. He basically called him a big old bitch while he was like knocking dudes out in the gym and kicking ass. And he's saying, Trump, I don't think you're a man. I think you're weak. I think Then in response to that, or I guess just as part of his own promotion of his 6 Feet Under podcast, I would like to say it's not the best podcast in wrestling, but we can't get back to the number 1 spot because of him, so what can I do?
The old DT's on there, brother. That's going to be a lot.
Yeah, lost the numbers for another week. You win this round, dead man.
You'll get him in the end.
He's
dead and you're alive, so...
There was a TikTok doing the rounds of a grumpy, ugly-looking, like, disgusting right-winger, and then next to him was Donald Trump, because The Undertaker and Kane promoted that they were going to be on the show, with The Undertaker saying, "You going to choose Kamala Harris, Tim Walsh and Batista, or are you going to choose Donald Trump, Kane and the dead man?" So yeah, they're kind of just like, the gloves are off, pretty much. They're not shying away from their political allegiances and indeed taking pot shots at their former colleagues. This comes interestingly, of course. I mean, I'm sure that this is more of them getting whipped up into election fever, and you know, if Undertaker and Batista were to catch each other down a road, it'll be beers and bones like old times. But Batista very recently put over Undertaker in like a short TikTok interview he did, as giving him some like career advice. They were just like dream chemistry opponents for each other back in 2007, a WrestleMania classic at WrestleMania 23. I'm sure it will be all water under the bridge, but it's just been kind of funny to see them be so upfront about it. Like this election cycle is very pro wrestling anyway, so it kind of makes sense as we head in the home straight. Pro wrestlers are at the front of it. Yeah,
I thought generally Batista kept those dinosaurs in his garden, so it was fun. You know, this stuff. I mean, I'm not going to wrestlers for my political opinions. No. I don't think. But at the same time, stuff like this always provokes a fun thing on social media, right? Because when the Undertaker video came out, like, people were just going in, sharing the famous video of him waiting for LeBron James in full gear and getting
Batista kicking his ass on SmackDown and stuff like that. Yeah.
So you get all this stuff. The other side is that for some reason people mock Batista for his weight loss these days, and it's like, he's in his 50s. I think he looks incredible, to be honest. And you can't be walking around like a cave Hulk when you're... Unless you're Jack Lane, I guess. But
I'm mocking Batista for anything to do with his looks, man. The guy's there's no version of him that isn't total piece.
Exactly. Like Dave's a good-looking guy, man. What are we doing here? It's a bit silly, but hey, it makes for a fun mudslinging contest, I guess. Yeah, there you go. I don't really think I should add much more than that.
I think, as you say, like, if in doubt, don't think or consider your wrestlers' political leanings, because whichever side of the divide you set on, and we certainly don't want to set a fight in the comment section over this one, they might not be on your side. They're not your mates, they're your favourite pro wrestlers. Enjoy them for what they do at work, maybe not for where they sit politically.
Yeah, for sure. Like, imagine getting to election day and going, oh, what did Batista and The Undertaker say they were voting for? Like, I think you should... make up your own minds on all of things.
Your own informed choices.
For sure. Right, let's move over. That is... I have lost my notes. Good stuff. Mid-video production meeting. Here we go. Daniel Garcia.
Yeah.
Fan of the eel, Daniel Garcia. What's that voice?
Tony Mowbray.
Tony Mowbray.
That was
the order.
Yeah, there was a stable that nearly came to life, but we'll have to save that one for another day.
Yeah, we'll drop that scoop later. But Daniel Garcia, right, he's talked about these memes. I think that's a charitable way of talking about the way people were talking about Daniel Garcia maybe going to WWE and maybe his potential motivations.
Yes, that's what he was going to be, a professional sex haver, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like, it was so wild for about 3 months. It felt like any time Daniel Garcia and WWE were brought up, it was just, oh, he's going to go to the Performance Center and have sex. Yeah. And it's like, well, he's a young man, he can do what he wants, but I'm pretty sure he has other things that he bases his career choices on.
Wrestle.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, he's given a very... This is a very mature and dignified response. He was interviewed by Cameron Hawkins, Seahawk, of course, on the South Congress podcast. I'll just read the whole quote. Why not? I get why people think it was funny, and it kept blowing up, and people kept sending me things. To me, it was completely undermines how great NXT is. I feel like NXT right now is hot. It's on fire. They have such great talent, men and women, international talent from all over the world. people of all different experience levels. When people kept saying, I'm just going to sign there because there are a bunch of attractive women, I think it undermines the work rate, the talent of the entire roster. They have a great roster on their hands. They're doing a bunch of great things over there. It undermines and takes away from what they're doing over there. So yeah, great reply, great response.
Well across that, and it's just that thing, isn't it, where he's so young still that it'd be pointless burning a bridge, like he signed a contract. Yeah. We kind of talk about this in, it feels like every video now, because there's a lot of interesting contract discussions, but this should be a good time that favours the wrestlers for the first time in a long time because of the money available and because of the windows of opportunity due to there being seemingly more wrestling than ever, like certainly on a mainstream level with the kind of TV deal. So it's nice that he kind of didn't feel the need, I guess, to stick the boot in, not only on like NXT or WWE as an opposition, but even really the people having a bit of fun with it on social media, like the memes and stuff are not done, I don't think, with any sense of malice.
No.
Like wrestlers, I'm sure, have to log on every day and start their day seeing all manners of kind of like nasty abuse and just the weird stuff that you see. This is not one of those cases, so it's cool he didn't like exactly go swinging for some people that have probably done some stuff in fun as well.
Yeah.
A light story that Red Death has managed to keep light here. And all the best to Daniel Garcia as well. He's in and he's for the medium to long haul with AEW for the time being. So I'm kind of excited for this next step now that this can stop. Like the story can be about him as a wrestler, what's happened next, rather than where he's going to go.
And I don't think that he is banned from sleeping with people.
No,
because he's signed with what a load of nonsense. I mean. Yeah, a poor guy. Like, imagine that, just logging on every single day and just, what the hell? Why have people made this up?
It's, X is a show of vulgar old place.
You know what social media is like? I've never trusted it.
You see some stuff on for you that doesn't always feel like it's for you. Do you know he probably doesn't log on X too much?
And well, that references, go.
Sting.
Stinger!
The Stinger is Ron Stinger, and he's looking to get his start in this business, and hopefully that's going to happen. He signed himself a developmental deal. No, it's not. He signed something sort of similar to that. And he did of his career because he signed what is effectively kind of a Legends deal, his words, with All Elite Wrestling. He was speaking to Kayfabe Friends, and he said, I signed a multi-year deal with AEW, obviously not to wrestle anymore. It's like a licensing deal, a Legends deal, if you want to call it that. I'll do appearances with them on and off, depending on what they want and all. Obviously, I guess the first example we saw of that was at Wembley when he made the save for Darby Allin against the Elite. He's already kind of teased that he will probably be a part of All In next year when it is a stadium show in Dallas. And this is like the first but probably not the last of the types of contracts that AEW are also able to offer as WWE do. Every now and then they'll have like Legends nights, or just it's nice to, I guess, have wrestlers of that star power on a bit of a retainer. It's also not bad for the wrestlers because they get some of that mailbox money, don't they? There'll be the residual checks drop in, the toys, the not DVDs anymore, but I guess there must be something through, whatever you put out there. So this feels like the first of what might be many of AEW starting to lock down their own branch of figures, legendary figures, or their own wrestlers that they would like to keep around for little one-offs and little novelty appearances.
Yeah, for sure. It's good. Sting should be one of the first, certainly, the day AEW finally launches a Hall of Fame, he should be one of the first people there, which is wild to say because, like, when he came to AEW, it was like, why? What? There's no way Sting can wrestle. Mm-hmm. What's this?
Yeah.
His back is in a million pieces. What's going on here? Mm-hmm. Okay, it might be fun to have a couple of segments with Darby and Cody or whatever, but he's never going to wrestle. And then he wrestled, and it was the best time ever. It's
that dynamite that Brian Cage powerbombed him before the match. What have you just done with Sting's dead?
You've killed the Stinger. Yeah. What's going to happen to his real estate portfolio? But it turned out to be unbelievable.
Yeah.
By all accounts, he was treated very well there. It's a place where time and time again, old geezers who you think are finished go to AEW, and it's like they've been given some magic elixir, and they're good. Like they're rejuvenated, they're revitalized. Even Tully Blanchard had a match in AEW, for goodness sake. Lest we forget, Arn Anderson doing physical spots for the first time. And
Bobby Fish.
Fresh off reprising the form of his legendary feud with George Hackenschmidt.
This is right, they can still give.
Him and Londos drew 70k in Athens, brother.
What Dave said.
But and they've got licensing deals with a bunch of. Obviously, they've got the Owen Hart stuff, the deal with Martha. and the foundation and the family and all that stuff, which is really heartening. It's just nice having Martha Hart back in wrestling after the tragic circumstances of Owen's passing, obviously. So, yeah, good. I'm in favour of this. I like seeing the stinger. I like it when Seek and Destroy hits and I can go. It's good stuff. It's fun. I like Sting. He is good. He's good.
I agree. We can confirm that. You can aggregate that.
Yeah.
Aggregate the aggregators. Sting is good.
Yeah, there you go. Sting equal good. You know what? People, however, people equal So there you go. According to Slipknot.
Which you can view one of their videos and another one. You can view one of ours though.
Yeah, right here. Sting.
I'm loving Sting.